Let's talk.
Giles Brown.
I know it's too late to say this, but it's good to have you back with us. And as I say, let's start the new year like we mean to go on. So, let's. What are we talking about today, Myra? I mean, there's so much to talk about.
Okay, I know we haven't got a lot of time, so it's about permanent residence and the withdrawal agreement rights to be absent from Spain for 5 consecutive years without losing residency status.
Okay.
Sounds very straightforward, doesn't it? So basically, all permanent residents under the withdrawal agreement have the right to be absent from Spain for 5 consecutive years without losing residency status, which also means that if you come back for a few days, then the clock starts again. Right. So you've got another 5 years. So that's been very handy, and a lot of people have wanted to take up that option. But there's always a but.
I can hear a but coming on, yes. Go on.
Yeah, the administrative requirement to maintain a valid address in Spain for residency card updates or renewal causes a paradox for those exercising their right to long-term absence as guaranteed under the withdrawal agreement. And I'll just the end, number 3 in the article, which actually states, once acquired, the right of permanent residence shall be lost only through absence from the host state for a period exceeding 5 consecutive years.
Right.
What could be wrong, one would say? It sounds very good, doesn't it? Okay. As with a lot of things in the withdrawal agreement, I think the few little things that have been somehow not considered, and I always pick those out, even if it's years later. So here we've got a contradiction with the foreigners' law. Yes? Yeah. It's law 4/2000. Anybody wants to look it up. This law mandates that foreign residents need to update their address in the police registry. However, individuals absent from Spain for extended periods, say up to 5 years, as per the WA withdrawal agreement, cannot meet this requirement unless they maintain an address in Spain. And this causes an administrative impasse. So what can we say? How can that affect people? If you own your own home, and you're going to keep your home, you're not going to sell it, and you go abroad wherever for 5 consecutive years or whatever length of time you wish, you have no problem because you don't have to update your address. And when it's time to renew your TRE, which has to be done, not like the old certificates, you have your address there. You don't even have to have a padron certificate because you haven't changed address. Okay. So where does the problem come in? It comes in for those who have sold their homes before leaving, intending to come back, and for those who rent. Now, when you leave Spain and you're not going to be a fiscal resident, and if you're going to be not going to be in Spain on your absence for more than 183 days a year, you should deregister with the tax authorities. Okay?
Okay.
You should also deregister from the padron because by being on the padron, you are saying your habitual residence is Spain. Okay. Which it won't be. You're actually a resident, but not a fiscal resident then if you go away. So you have to make sure you tick all the boxes for that.
Can I ask a question here? Can I ask a quick question here, Myra? Yeah. If I'm a period of 5 years, so if I go, for example, I leave Spain and I go to Holland, and actually Holland probably not, and I then apply for resident. When you say you're going away, if you go away to live somewhere for 3 years, if I go to Holland and I get Dutch residency, does that mean that if I come back 3 years later I come back to Spain, my TIE will still be valid in Spain?
Well, that shouldn't be a consideration for Spain if you've sought residency elsewhere.
Right. Okay. Fine. Okay.
What's important for Spain is maintaining your right to residency, and I don't see anything that says, right, if you take up residency elsewhere, you must. Because say if you go to UK, which is the simplest one, because usually it's UK nationals. Well, it is always UK nationals protected under the withdrawal agreement. So they can go to the UK, they can make sure they deregister their fiscal residency, and they're resident now in 2 countries, but only fiscal resident in the UK.
Okay.
Now, you have to consider that after 90 days, you can lose, if the authorities are aware that you've gone away, you can lose your right to health care.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
For those pensioners, then maybe they'd talk to the healthcare team about their S1, and if they give that in, then they would use their GHIC or EHIC, I think, for pensioners coming back for their healthcare. So you've gone away, you're away for 6 months, you've taken your name off the padron, you're renting, or you've got your property that you've now sold, so you've got an old address on your TIE.
Yeah.
It's your obligation, as I said, under the foreigners law, to update this. You can't do it, because once you have a different address, you have to have a padron certificate. So you're back again saying it's your habitual residence, so you actually cannot update your address as your obligation is, neither can you renew. Unless you come back, take residency again, renew, go away, but you're still in the same situation. You go away and you're no longer at that property.
Right. Okay.
So this is something that I'm drafting a petition to see, but I don't know. I've spoken to the European Commission, but of course, very difficult for them. So this is a paradox, isn't it? It causes a bit of a contradiction, because you can go away under a withdrawal agreement, you have every right to be absent, but what do you do about maintaining your obligations with your TIE card? That's the quandary at the moment.
Yeah.
So also, if anybody wants any assistance when they do this, so we are getting... I'm getting inquiries, and Citizens Advice is getting inquiries about people that have already found problems because they've left and they cannot, well, not problems yet, but they don't really know what steps to take. It's very important to not just leave. And also a lot of, quite a few people who are asking, and somebody insisting that you have to deregister at the Foreigners Office and the police station. Well, first of all, there isn't really a system to deregister a TIE. And also, you wouldn't, because you're coming back and you have the right to keep your TIE for that length of time.
Okay.
I don't know how we're doing for time.
For time, we've got 5 minutes, Myra. So that's good with that one. Okay. Yes.
So I think, though, I've said it. If everybody understands, do you understand it, Giles?
As much as I can understand anything. I mean, I have problems sort of pointing the right way up in the morning. But basically, the problem is going to be if you go away to the UK and you don't, the problem is going to be updated, because you have to keep your padron updated, and how often do we have to renew our padron as well? Because every couple of...
Well, you mustn't. This is the whole thing. If you're going to be absent, and Spain is not going to be your habitual residence for X amount of years, up to 5 consecutive years, you must come off the padron, and this is what causes a problem. You're now not entitled to be on the padron. Being on the padron could have fiscal implications for you, tax implications, because you're saying, I'm a resident, but not fiscal resident. Well, if you're on a padron, you're saying it's your habitual resident, so you're fiscal resident. And not only that, if a lot of people rent, they don't have an address. And if they do go and find a temporary address, you're back to the quandary of saying, well, I'm now a habitual resident here. So you can't be both.
Yeah, it's a tricky one, isn't it? It's a tricky one. So
it is a tricky one. There's nothing in place for this. There is nothing in place. If anybody wants to ask me, what can we do? I'll say, well, we're going to have to petition the government to see what can be done.
But I think at the moment the government is a little more concerned with stopping. Apparently, if you read the headlines, Brits having holiday homes in Spain. So I've actually been cheeky on Facebook, where the BBC and other things. I've actually put a link up with an article I wrote. Right.
Because this is a proposal. It's got to be passed by Congress. But, of course, the press have picked it up and they're running with it. And there's all sorts of people saying, well, Spain's going to lose and we're never going to come back. You know, all this sort of thing that happens. So the press just wants the headline.
Yeah. Didn't we have this before as well, when they're saying, this will never happen because they need us more than we need you? I seem to remember us having using that very same phrase a couple of years ago.
because Spain will survive, because it has all sorts of other nationalities. This is just so people are clear, and I've written it into my article. I've made notes. I've taken the information from the Spanish government. I've made notes. This is referring to non-EU, non-residents, so that's UK nationals as well. But if anybody's listening and they want to buy a home, some of them, might do so quite soon.
Yeah.
This has to be a law approved by Congress, maybe the Senate. It could have a lot of opposition. You can imagine 100%, really, what you're paying for your property, you're then paying in taxes.
Yeah.
Now, it doesn't apply to those who wish to be residents in Spain.
Correct.
But here we go with another complication or another contradiction. So they're buying, but they're not resident yet. So they must be resident now before they can buy.
But how do you become resident?
Yeah.
That is another paradox. It is a system. It's Kafkaesque, isn't it, Myra? And it's catch-22.
Yes, but they can become a resident beforehand, in the ways that you can as a UK national, not very easily now. Of course, the golden visa now ends after April. You can't apply from about the 3rd of April. So that's gone. Can
I use two words, though, that absolutely have every Spanish sort of like tech website goes into, and they all slap themselves on the back. Digital nomad. This is the buzzword.
Yes. They don't want, at the moment, because what's happened recently with the increase, I mean, the last year and a half, we've seen a tremendous increase in rental prices, an increase in foreigners, non-Spanish, letting their homes. So obviously they're going to be hit now as a business, and they're going to have to pay a tax as a business would, because what the government is trying to do is trying to find a way to make housing affordable for their own.
Indeed.
And it's not, is it? So this is what's end of the golden visa. When you think about it, really, what's 500,000 to a lot of people, except me,
I was going to say.
to purchase the property and then get all those advantages which you do with a golden visa. So I can see why that's going.
Got a call coming in, Myra. Just a second. Got a call coming in for you. Morning, call. You're live on TRE. What's your question for Myra, please?
Yeah, hi, Giles. John and Mia.
Oh, hi, John.
Hi, Myra. Just a very
Hi, John.
The 100% increase, isn't that just on the tax? So, in other words, the 8 to 12% or whatever would go up to 16 to 24%, not 100% of the value of the property.
Well, we're not being told that as yet. All we're being told, even from the government, is 100%.
On the tax.
The taxes, they don't say what on, John. So everybody's picked up, including Spain, that's 100%. So yes.
Myra. Interesting program. Thank you very much. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks very much for that.
Bye. Take care.
As always, it seems to be that nobody actually knows what's going on, and people are just filling in the blanks and making scare stories.
That's why I take the press release from the actual government and post that, translate and post that, and it's their responsibility to clarify. So there's also other measures like other measures to try and release housing that's being withheld. I mean, the banks hold so many properties empty, not paying any rates on them, not paying anything. They need to be released. Social housing, there's not enough social housing being built in Spain like there is in other places.
Correct.
So you can understand now all this brings an anti-sort of visitors feeling to Spain, doesn't it? Because people start thinking, yes, it's true.
Yeah.
But like I said, I wrote the article for Citizens Advice and Spain Info and made notes so that people can understand and simplified it as well.
Quick question for you here, and I'll send it to you as well, but good morning, Giles and Myra. As an old age pensioner without a pension, I'm having problems joining the Spanish healthcare system. I do not have an S1, which seems to be what they are asking for. I have the legislation letter, which the NHS oversees says should be enough. Any advice, please?
Okay. I'll try. Yes, I will do. Okay. First of all, if you were with a legislation letter in Spain, if you were a resident before April 2012, you should have no problem getting your health care. Unfortunately, it's called prevarication. In Spanish, prevaricación, the Social Security are not respecting the residency rights to health care. I suggest that this lady pushes for this, contacts me, and also, depending on how long she has lived in Spain, she may be entitled to a Spanish non-contributive pension.
Indeed, that's the.
So that's important. As somebody says, no pension, and the reasons why she's not entitled to an S1, no pension in UK at all, because if she has, she's entitled a state pension. She's entitled to the S1. I suggest this lady contacts us. Go to our website. There's an Ask for Advice section, and on there's an email.
And what is the
just to mention,
right? And what is the because we're actually we just shot through obviously quickly today, but what is the website to find this Ask Questions and generally?
Okay, just Google. Best way is to just Google Citizens Advice Spain.
Wonderful. Myra, I'm glad we got you in the end. You see, we get there in the end, like British Rail used to be and probably still are. Thank you very much, says the person with the inquiry, so you should be hearing from them very soon, Myra. Myra Azzopardi. Let's start the new year as we mean to go on, as the saying goes. Lovely to speak to you again. Hopefully I'll see you in real life very, very soon.
Okay. Thank you for having me on the show.
As always, bye-bye. Lots to talk about this year, of course, with some new regulations coming in. What could possibly go wrong?